Are you sure? Double check it.
Double check. Like, I don't do not disturb, so hopefully no one will disturb my recording. Fucking calling me, texting me. I don't know what it was, but we'll upgrade as soon as we get more members to pay for a camera.
No, it's not like we're spending on frivolous things. This is all for you, to give back to you.
You get to see us in 4K. You get to not have as many technical difficulties as you get when you record your show on an iPhone.
I feel like it's part of our charm. It's endearing. However,
It is.
we want to expand. We want to grow.
We're very animated, and you miss out when you miss the animations that happen when we talk about certain things that we're very passionate about. Yes. We emote a lot.
Think of how much more leg and emoting you would get.
Oh man. Yeah, speaking of emoting, I know I said we should talk about one fight, but
Did you record it on that too?
it's recording.
Oh,
You can
okay.
see it.
I was just checking.
You can see the numbers.
I thought it was green.
No, that's the
Red usually means stop, so it always throws me off.
Yeah, no, the numbers is what I look at, because then I'm like, we've been talking for 40 minutes about bad judges.
We could go on and on and on.
I'm like, whoops, it's almost time to go. We haven't talked about anything else. Yeah, speaking of emoting, I know we were going to talk about one fight, but I thought that the first fight of the card was really funny. Did you watch that one, the strawweights?
Yes, I did.
This girl,
Which girl?
baby Liz Carmouche. It was Josephine Knutsson in your chin versus Polastri.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you say her name?
Psycho Polastri.
Well, she looked psycho, all right, because every time she got kicked or punched in the face, she went,
I was like, please stop it.
oh, whoa. It's like, what are you doing? It's like when you're playing, or when I'm playing the UFC game, and I'm trying to hit the takedown button, but instead I hit like the flex button. I hit the emote. It's like, oh, every time she got hit, she would just make a face. I'm like, what are you doing?
She was. I'm not trying to throw shade, but there are certain times when you need to like get in and out of your character, your fight name, and she didn't do that. She was really trying to like show the psycho in her.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yes, that's her nickname.
She's trying to go Harley Quinn on him.
Yeah, and there's just
crazy.
There's a time to abandon that and like focus at the task at hand, and she finally did it towards the end of the first round. She was like, "Oh shoot, I'm losing. I need to do something." It was classic striker versus grappler matchup, and I was really impressed with that's not how you say her last
Nuts
name.
on your chin. It's Knuts. It's Knuts on your chin. Knuts.
Knutsson.
Oh, can I nut on your chin? It's a question. They're asking for consent.
And consent is big these days.
Yeah, Knut. Knut, son. Knuts on your stomach. Knuts on your back.
Nuts anywhere you want.
Hey.
If you buy me dinner first.
Hey, be a gentleman.
And maybe a couple drinks. Not that easy.
Oh, gosh. Make it a whole day. And you can pick please, just not my hair. Has anyone ever asked?
Yes.
On your hair?
Of course.
Why?
It's a thing.
That's such a random place to want to do it.
I don't think so.
I don't think a black woman has been asked that ever.
I don't think she ever would, because she would like probably get violent.
No. Yes.
You're like, do you know how long this took?
Yeah. If regular water fucks it up, do you know what that would do?
It's never
Fuck out
coming
of
out.
here.
It's like gorilla snot that you put in my hair that one time.
God. Yo, remember the girl that she got Gorilla Snot, but she thought it was Gorilla Glue?
Yes.
Or no, that was
she
the
thought
way
it was
around.
Gorilla Glue was Gorilla Snot. And she
Yeah.
put, yeah.
And then she like had to go to a doctor to get her hair unglued from her head.
I think she would have had to shave her head off.
Dude. Which is why you would never ask a black woman that.
Yeah, no, they know better.
Yeah.
They know that is crossing
This
a
is
line.
chaos ensuing if that happens. So Knutsson versus Polastri. She was throwing mad volume in the first round. I thought she was gonna knock her out, but she was picking her apart, not putting a ton of oomph into her strikes, but just landing at will. Like Polastri was
precise. She was following so Polastri for majority of the fight would just throw one big shot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Knutsson would follow that shot in with multiple shots.
Pa, 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 pa.
No, it was great.
Yeah.
It was beautiful to watch. You know, she has a lot of striking experience, and it definitely showed. She will, however, have to make a lot of leaps and bounds as she goes up the rankings because her ground game is not great.
Yeah.
Luckily, she was able to either like hold and stall in certain positions or, you know, get back up to her feet or, you know, be saved by the bell. But this is something she'll definitely have to work on. However, she had a great game plan for Polastri.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Polastri actually could have won the fight had she picked. I didn't think she did.
I thought she controlled enough in the second,
But there were no strikes on it.
Yeah, there were no strikes, but the striking was actually a little more even in the second and third round.
Sure.
Like she was actually throwing combinations, landing with a little bit of power. She like cracked her, or she cut Knutsson up, I think, in the first round when she just took her down and went crazy. And I think that gave her a lot more confidence to just like get in there and make it dirty. But I felt like on the feet, Knutsson didn't do enough to win the second and third. But I think the judges gave her, I gotta look, but I forget what rounds they gave her. I think they all gave her the first. And then they kind of wavered on the second. Either second or third, because Knutsson got on top at one point. I think at the end of the third,
she reversed it.
Yeah. So that it could just be a little moment like that sways the fight for the other person's direction. But I thought she won, and
you thought Polastri won?
I thought Polastri won, and Knutsson ended up getting the win. But it's just like no consistency. So I can't really tell what's going to be scored more. Is it going to be control time or is it going to be volume? Is it going to be damage? Because I felt like Polastri did more in the damage department and the control time department in the 2 rounds that I thought she won.
Well, we've talked before where, you know, you were saying control time doesn't really count unless you're doing something. And I think that the control time that she had just wasn't long enough to outweigh the barrage of punches that Knutsson was throwing. She was throwing really precise. She was throwing high volume, and they were sharp, and they were landing very well. And I think that Polastri, when she was throwing, yes, they were kind of landing, but they weren't necessarily landing completely clean. I think that she just, Knutsson looked a little bit more polished.
Yeah, and then going to the media scores, everyone agreed that Knutsson won. So maybe that's just me having PTSD from all the times that I landed more and didn't win the rounds. But yeah, everyone gave her first and second, and then they gave Polastri the third, which is surprising. I thought Polastri would have had some, differing on the second round. I thought she did more. But yeah, the media saw the same thing. And again, with the angles, the media room is in the arena. They're watching the fights. They're getting similar angles to the judges, so they're gonna see Knutsson's strikes landing with more I guess. Oh, you know what it was? The fucking faces.
The faces.
The faces. Every time she got push kicked. Oh. Like that's telling people something.
The reactions
you're making when you're taunting right after you get hit. A lot of times people are marking that as like, oh, you got hurt because you're not firing back. If you get push kicked away and then you jump right back into the fight and land something of your own, it kind of nullifies the big moment that happened. But if you let that be a big moment, if you push someone away and then they're just like, whoa, what are you doing? Then Yeah, that's good. So maybe that's why. Maybe I wasn't putting as much weight into like the push kicks and moments like that. That she was still making stupid faces after each thing that happened. But in a judge's mind, when you're watching a fight, you're like, hey, this girl's landing. This girl isn't doing anything about it.
There were just a lot of unanswered push kicks, and the movement, the motion that was created by those, the big separation and the lack of follow through, I think definitely played a big part in why they scored it for her.
Yeah, I mean, we just watched that Puja Tamar fight, and everyone's calling it robbery, but the thing that they were seeing was the side kicks, the really strong side kicks that she was throwing and getting thingy off of her.
Well, and she was making the big faces too and the big sounds.
She was making the sounds.
Polastri just wasn't making the right face nor the right sounds.
She didn't have the right combination.
Yes.
You need face and sound while you're throwing something.
You need the combo.
If she had gotten on top of her and done face and sound and throwing things all at the same time, like she did in that first round,
scores big.
Yeah, especially middle, get her down middle to end it around, face, yell, score, you win the fight.
Yeah, I think Polastri might be kicking herself at the fact that she could have taken Knutsson down more easily than she made it look. I think that if she had, taken what she learned from the first round and then, recreated that
a little
bit faster, because it was always at the halfway mark or just after is when she would start going for the takedown. She would just let Knutsson get off way too much and control the range, control the pace way too much until it was just too late.
Yeah. Better luck next time. Stop making faces when you get hit. It just makes it look like it hurt.
Yeah, it's right, and it's like she's still fairly young in the game, and there's a lot to learn. Sometimes there's a lot of pressure to be entertaining, to have your persona, to have your brand kind of thing, and I think that. Yeah, exactly. I think that, young fighters need to understand, yes, that is an important piece of it, but more importantly, it's winning and, going out there and dominating and imposing your game plan on your opponent so you get those wins. So then you get to build your brand as you go.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's, win the fights first. And I think Knutsson was very focused on that. And that's why she put on such a stellar performance in the first round. Then she got a little exposed in the next two, but she still was able to get the win. So that'll give her something to work on for the next one. And the other fight, there was another chick fight on there that I was like, what's the judging on here going to be like?
Oh, Judice and Fernandez?
Yeah. How'd you score that fight?
I can see why they would give Fernandez the fight. I wasn't mad about it. It just looked like her power was doing a lot more damage than the high volume of Judice.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like, I thought it was pretty clear, but then it ended up being a split decision. And I'm like, how did Judice get more than one round? And then I looked at it, and guess who scored round one for
Tell
Judice?
Me.
Round one. Adelaide Bird. Your girl with the bottle caps on.
Honey, we talked about this.
She did so well a few weeks ago.
Well, I know.
Yeah, no, she did so well. And that's what happens. It's like with judges, I kind of feel bad because you're never going to talk about when a judge does the right thing. But when they fuck up, dude, everyone's mad.
Well, it's just like the reffing that happened last weekend. I mean, I don't know how many times I heard Dominic and Bisping just throw shade about making good ref decision. Now that's good reffing. I'm like, bro, chill.
It's Dom and Bisping, so that's all they know how to do.
Oh my God. Just relentless. Which fair, but like chill.
Yeah.
He knows he fucked up.
He knows. He has to know.
He knows.
Yeah, just let us die. Just let us die. Well, thank you for it in your dreams when we haunt you. Thank you for not stopping the fight too early. My family hates you, but I'm appreciative. But yeah, that what were we talking about? Fucking Judice versus Fernandez. I thought it was a really clear first round. Fernandez pieced her up, and like when I saw the significant strikes thing, I was surprised that Judice had more significant strikes landed in the first because Fernandez's strikes were so impactful. They were like fucking her up, throwing her head left and right.
Exactly.
Like, she was running for her life and still in the fight. Like it was a really competitive fight, but I thought the first round was super clear. And it comes to my other gripe with stats. The significant strike stat.
What is considered a significant strike?
Because obviously,
if it lands clean,
if it has some sort of impact in the other fighter's demeanor, I guess.
I don't. That's more of a power shot to me.
Yeah,
I don't
it's such an arbitrary way to judge a strike. And if you're going to compare significant strikes, you got to mention that Fernandez's significant strikes were a lot more significant.
Yes.
Like than Judice's. Judice's significant strikes were significant for her, but not significant compared to what Fernandez was hitting her with, because those things were really changing the vibe of the fight.
They were making her go for takedowns.
Posture. Yeah.
They were putting this sense of urgency to take it to the ground and start grappling.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it was smacking her head around too. Like it's like when you're playing that boxing game and you get hit with something.
To be fair though,
and the lights shine.
Yeah. But to be fair, it's the body type. You have the long, lanky body type against the more short, stocky, stout person. It's always going to look a lot more devastating just because that person has so much more height and gangliness.
Well, then you get your gangly ass out of the way of the punches. Like that has nothing to do with how significant the strike was. Has nothing to do. It's like, you gangly, you better not get hit by that shit, because she got a big old movement. She has a big old knockout artist booty. You know, like she was coming for blood to the point where she completely gassed out halfway through the fight. So that's the only reason I was like, okay, I can see why it was a split. But then when I looked back at the scorecard, I was like, no way she lost the first round.
Yeah, I don't think so.
If anything, the second round was back and forth, but I felt like it was pretty heavily in her favor. And then the third round, Judice did her thing. She like came back in the fight, and I was really, really amazed that she's only 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was pretty impressive to me.
No, she's been putting in work.
Yeah, she's a gamer. I think this fight's gonna make her a lot stronger, and make her try to put on some weight.
Yeah. It's hard. But I think that, she's still, 3-1 is very young in the sport. So I think she has plenty of time to put on the size, to get, her technique more sound, and then come back even stronger. That's what, a fight is. That fight is a feedback for us to learn and grow and, get better.
For sure. But yeah, Adelaide Bird, you suck. What were you looking at?
Girl power with you, but then you do stuff like that.
Yeah, you did. I'll just say you did great a few weeks ago. That's all I was saying. You did great. Go keep doing what you did a few weeks ago. Yeah, and speaking of gangly body types, you had a crazy size difference with the flyweight fight that happened.
Oh, Johnson versus
Almabaev. I remember it because our friend's daughter's name is Alma.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I was like, Almabaev. The fighter, not the cute little girl.
This was, they said he has the longest reach in the flyweight division. I do not know how this person makes weight.
He looked like he was pulled like taffy. Like his
two weight classes above. He looked like it.
Insane. He's 6 feet
crazy.
tall, and his legs are so skinny. am so terrified if he ever starts throwing inside leg kicks. I don't know if he threw it in the fight, but if he did, I'd fucking scream.
His thighs were thick enough, but the calves were definitely
No. That's what, if you throw an inside leg kick, the person throwing it, your little skinny ankles are in so much danger. Yep. Like ever since watching Anderson Silva, that horrible accident that happened to him, and then Weidman, and then other people, don't do that shit. Like, especially if you have little skinny legs and you're fighting people who are a lot stockier than you. I was nervous. I was traumatized. I was nervous for his legs. Yeah, man. Make sure you're doing your squats, kicking your bamboo trees. But it looks like a body type that would be really dominant against a much shorter fighter,
and he did put him in danger.
Yeah,
he did put him in danger, especially since Almabaev was a grapple heavy kind of person, and Johnson is, just a newly minted brown belt, as they said on the broadcast. The thing is, you can, have really strong submissions, and you can put people in really compromising positions when you have that length on someone, especially someone that is, committed to that kind of game plan and diving into to somebody's guard. He locked him up with a triangle. He had his back. However, the size discrepancy between those body types is ultimately what gave him more trouble, because there's so much real estate that you have to cover. You have to be like so tight, so compact, and Almabaev's body frame was just a little bit smaller and able to like maneuver in those positions and get out of submissions. You have to have like that much more tightness, that much more torque on things to keep them in place and get those submissions. The triangle looks super tight, but he just had too much space because he had so much leg.
Yeah, his knees were giving his arteries like tons of space to pump blood to his head still. Like there was all this space in here because his knees are just long as shit. It's like when you're working submissions on the guys, like chokes and stuff, and you're like, ooh, I got the submission down. And then you grapple some little girl, some little atom weight, and the shit doesn't work. Like, why doesn't this work? It works on
really
men.
Frustrating.
Who can imagine that something that works on big, strong men would not work on this tiny, pathetic little girl?
Yeah, you just have to be able to make those those adjustments.
Yeah.
And even a couple of centimeters, an inch will give somebody the ability to be able to survive those attacks, which is what we saw.
Yeah. And when punches are involved too, and there's a lot of movement and thrashing around, it's not going to be as easy to cinch something up in the cage as it is in the workout room, like in the grappling mats, like it's you have time to think, you have time to grab the leg, to cut the corner, to cinch it even more. And if this guy's hitting you and wiggling out at the same time, then he was just a little too fast for him to cinch up those submissions.
Yeah, the thing that I heard Johnson say in the corner was, "No, I can submit him." And this is, in the second and then third, or it's going into the third round.
Says the newly minted brown belt. Now, I'm just a purple belt, but I still feel like if your corner says don't submit him, like
it wasn't the thing to do. Listen, submissions, like statistically, submissions happen, primarily in the first round when everyone isn't sweaty and slippery. And then the statistic goes down incrementally in the second round and the third round and so on into the championship rounds. This is just what happens. Your body gets tired. You're not as fast. You're very slippery from the sweat and, potentially the blood. So it's just something that ends up becoming less likely, not impossible, not improbable, but just less likely. And that game plan in the first round, the second round, it had not been working out for him. And I love the self-belief in him. I love the commitment. However, being a mixed martial artist, being in the fight, you have to be able to make those adjustments and understand that, you may have to abandon some things, even though you want it. You want to make it happen. You believe in yourself.
You can't force it.
You can't.
And it'd be different if he was just talking about getting back control. But it felt like he thought that he could submit him from his back, which he got close to doing. But I don't think submissions from your back should be plan A, especially if you just got your brown belt. Like, not that that's not a huge accomplishment, but the people who submissions off their back are plan A. Those guys have done tons of competitions at the highest level, black belt tournaments, you know, won nationals, won like worldwide events, and they're able to do that against someone who's trying to punch them in the face. Not always. A lot of times it doesn't happen, but like I just feel like plan A should be do the submission that doesn't put you in trouble if it doesn't work.
Sure.
And being on your back, chilling on your back, trying to set up like arm bars and triangles, a lot of times that's going to put you in trouble if it doesn't work. You get your guard pass. You're stuck on your back flat. You're not able to scramble up and get back to a position where you can have a huge advantage, which is striking for him because he's so long. So I think the reason that I was just like, ugh, that's a bad idea is because when he said that, he had just been stuck on his back so long, and then homeboy slipped out of the triangle past his guard, and then it was just like, ugh, that sucks. Yeah, like, I've been there. That sucks.
He had somebody who had a really good wrestling base, who was very fast, scrambly, explosive, and that type of body type being on top of you, on top of somebody who's long and lengthy, that's a hard battle. Not saying it's impossible, but it just wasn't looking like it was going to go his way. And it would have been, as you were saying, a way better game plan to keep it standing, use that range against somebody that you have a huge advantage on, just with the length of your arms and legs.
Yeah, it was interesting to see that happen. And self-belief, I think he'll keep that, especially once he keeps developing his game. If he like continues to compete in jiu-jitsu, continues to like work on that ground game, like, yeah, he can really put together something nasty with such an odd body type. Like, he's a unique build. It's kind of like John Jones in a sense, where he was the longest, lankiest person at light heavyweight, and no one could deal with the problems that he brought up because of his body type. I think he has the ability to do that because he's so long and lanky, but he still has to tighten up those holes because, you know, we've seen other long, lanky guys not do so well.
Mm-hmm. It's just little adjustments for your body type and, you know, whoever you compete against that you'll have to make. And, you know, the more time that he puts in the octagon and on the mats, the more he'll make those adjustments and figure out what works a little bit better for him. But it's a hard fighting off of your back, going for submissions that put you down on the ground and then put you in a position where the judges are seeing that you're not dominant. It's really hard and uncommon for someone to win a fight just off of their back.
Yeah. And his last fight was a submission. So maybe that's why he was just like, no, I got this. He fell in love with it. I got to be careful not to fall in love with the idea of submitting someone, you know, because you get that finish and you're just like, ooh, that was nice. I didn't have to fight the whole fight. Like, I'm not even super sweaty yet. My face isn't all busted up. Like, this is great. I'd love to do that again.
Well, it's just like what I mentioned before with Miles Johns. It's, you know, once you feel that power with anything, the power from a strike, the power from a submission, you just, you start chasing it. And it's, you know, sometimes it can be to your own detriment.
Yeah. Yeah. So keep your head up. This is his first fight at flyweight too. So maybe that made a difference in just the way that he was able to, deal with such a smaller opponent.
And it's a different pace.
Yeah, it's a different pace for sure.
Flyweight is a fast division.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very technical because people don't necessarily have that knockout power, that finishing power. So they have to be really good, really in shape, and just good everywhere.
You know what I thought was funny? I'm looking at this guy and his build and how skinny he is. And I saw that post that ESPN MMA did. And they were like, oh my God, Alex Pereira just revealed that he has to cut 22 pounds in 14 days.
Oh my God, just like everybody else on the card in the UFC.
That's actually Cub Swanson's.
No, stop it.
Cub Swanson was the first comment I saw, and it said, just like everyone else on that card.
I was like, that's nothing. That's nothing.
It's nothing.
Especially for males.
Yeah, there's strawweights that cut that much. I know a few. I've trained with some who 14 days out were slightly above 140.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that like it's not a big deal, guys. It's normal.
It's not.
And how much do you think this guy cut? Jose Johnson, who used to fight at bantamweight, now he's fighting at flyweight. That's a big cut for most flyweights cut a lot unless they should be strawweights. You know, and he looks tall enough. He's 6 foot tall. So I'm looking at him, I'm like, there were no ESPN MMA articles about his weight cut. Y'all are slacking. I'm like, there must be some little intern in there that doesn't really watch
does these
MMA.
Clips? No,
They
I'm
can't
serious.
lose weight. You know, they're like, man, losing 22 pounds, that's hard.
Yeah, it's
not for a fighter.
Not for a fighter. It's not like you're, doing it to keep it off. You're doing it the right way so that it all comes back on.
Yeah, you want to be fat the next day.
You want to be heavy because that's an advantage.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you want to look like Almeida the next day, looking like a welterweight fighting a featherweight. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you want to be a big boy the next day. So the less you have to cut before you actually cut, the better. As long as you could do it in a healthy way. So for all you casuals who don't know, yes, it's normal for small people to cut 22 pounds 14 days out. For big people, they usually cut more.
Yeah.
They usually cut a lot more. Heavyweights usually cut a ton. Or maybe not. Usually don't have
20 to 30.
Yeah. I think light heavyweights probably cut the most because there's such a huge gap between heavyweight and light heavy. So you're either like fighting with a 30-pound disadvantage or you cut 30 pounds to make 205. So it's pretty normal. ESPN MMA.
Quit
Do you
tripping.
need we got time. We can write your articles for you.
No, because this isn't the only one, and I'm not trying to throw shade, but it's not the only one that I'm just kind of like, why'd you pick that to talk about?
Do you guys even watch MMA?
I wonder. I think that it's probably the same people from like regular ESPN.
Yeah, probably.
That are doing the ESPN MMA.
The social part.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's people who know what they're doing like the actual articles.
Oh,
like
for
the
sure.
Actual news articles that no one clicks on. They just read
unless there's clickbaity stuff to talk about.
Yeah. Well, it's like they read the clickbait and then they react to the clickbait. They don't even click on it. The bait isn't doing that. It's comment bait more than anything. Yeah, so.
But that gets to circulate more, so it's doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah. We need to work on our clickbaits.
I think we do. Noted.
We said some testy things, right?
All the time. All the time.
Yeah, so I can't think of anything we said this one. Yeah, that was a pretty crazy weight difference. And one other thing I liked about the matchup, which Johnson should have been aware of what was going to happen, was Almabaev's cool hat.
Well, he didn't see it beforehand.
He saw it at the weigh-ins.
Oh,
Yeah, he wore the cool hat at the weigh-ins.
well, it's kind of, he's kind of deceptive. He doesn't look like your stereotypical traditional of
Cool hat guy. Yeah. Almabaev.
That's what threw him off.
It's like, oh, you could be like a bunch of different things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's why he wasn't prepared for it.
He wasn't ready, but he did see the hat, but then it's a little too late. Like you go to weigh-ins, you see the hat, you're like, fuck.
I should have prepared for this fight differently.
He's going to crush all my submission attempts, which made me feel like I should have a cool hat of my own.
What would your hat look like?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Do you remember in the 90s when it was really big to wear like the kente cloth? Like all the rappers were wearing them and like
it's like squared rounded one.
Yeah, that square hat. Now people do like use them as memes. Like whenever you're super like pro black to the point where it's ridiculous, or you see it in like don't drink juice in the hood. that movie where the guy's like, you know, all pro black, but then he's like walking around with white girls and
he's a walking contradiction.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like that could be cool. I could get my little kufi, my little kente kufi out, and they wouldn't be able to tell me I can't wear it because it's cultural.
And this is signifying.
It's my culture.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Oh, okay.
Proud Black American from the African diaspora. I'm very much into old school hip hop.
That's the best kind of hip hop, in my opinion.
It is.
This noise they're making these days, I just can't.
The mumble rap. They would never
With
never
the
wear
synthesization.
Yeah. And
Did I just make up a word?
You did.
Thanks.
But
You
we
knew
knew
what
what you were talking
knew
about.
what that
Synthesized voices. Vocalized, synthesized. And, you know, people always say that I'm a race baiter and that I hate white people. So
Do they say that?
yeah.
Even with me? Or am I just your beard?
I don't think yeah. You're not fooling anyone.
I don't count? What do you mean by that?
I don't know. She could be an of.
No.
That black hair.
Stop it.
You could be an of. No. You also don't have a mustache. Big, big, you know, toe right there. But yeah, you know, with my white husband, people still think that I'm a race baiter. So I might as well just lean into it and, you know, wear the kente, walk out with that, just be like, hey, I got a cool hat too. And I'm a wrestler now, so I feel like it would match the cool hat trend.
Oh,
Everyone
gotcha.
with a cool hat is a good wrestler. It doesn't matter what country you're representing. All the cool hat people are good wrestlers. So I think it's time that I whip out my cool hat from my ancestry.
I wish my ancestors had cool hats.
You don't have a cool hat?
No.
What, aren't you like Italian/French or some shit? German. You guys have cool hats that you can't wear.
No, we don't.
You can't wear
there
it
ain't
on,
nothing cool about them.
Can't wear it on YouTube.
Not cool. I'm sure I have other stuff. You know,
I guess,
sprinkled
yeah,
in
not
there,
cool hats.
They're definitely not a cool hat.
Just a ethnic hat.
The hats we don't talk about.
Ancestry hat. You can't change history.
The
Jess.
hats we'd like to forget about.
Yes. Well, Italians, they will.
My people had tempers.
Oh man, you just wear like a olive branch or something. Got olives in Italy.
I mean, I always got a bottle of wine with me. So.
There you go. Yeah, that could be your cool hat. You could get one of those like hats with the bottles on the side. And they could be 2 tiny bottles of wine with a straw in it.
I'll think about it.
Oh, we got cool hats. We're going to have them for the next episode. We got cool hats coming, guys. Tune in. Oh, man. What other fights have we not talked about yet since we got called out for not talking about all the fights? We should talk about all the fights.
I mean, we mentioned Fugit, but we didn't actually like break down his fight. And then there was Flickin' Manis. No, we talked about like all of them. Oh, Costa and Nuerdanbieke.
Ooh, what'd you think about that one?
You know what? I loved his a lot of people did this outside single takedown. And I really liked it. I'm going to try it. I'm probably going to get my back taken, but it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
But I loved so Almabaev, Nuerdanbieke, and I think one other person did these outside single takedowns, and they were landing them every single time.
Yeah.
And it was really fun to watch. It was, like I said, I really enjoyed this card because I got like lots of little like nuggets of techniques and information that I really enjoyed and I want to kind of play with.
Yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about. It was Almabaev, the one that I was thinking about. I actually recorded that. He had like a nice catch off of the teep. And then went to the
and then just
pulled
went to
it across. Yeah.
No, it
hit
was
like
beautiful.
a real nasty like knee bump takedown.
Yeah.
And poor Johnson's little long legs went flying, like long legs and arms. Whoa! It was really cool to watch, and it looked really impressive against that body type too.
Yeah, but Nuerdanbieke, he was the second fight on the card, and he fought Costa, and it was another one of those short stature versus very long and lanky. Costa actually ended up getting the submission later in the fight. I think it was in the third round, but it was because his opponent like ended up gassing out.
Yeah,
this guy was all power, all strength, but like he also mixed in a lot of beautiful technique. He had this beautiful body lock while Costa was tripoded, and he like tripped one of the legs. I was like, I'm gonna do that.
I recorded that too.
I loved it. I was like, I'm gonna play with that too.
No, it was really nice. You know, we really need to start doing technique videos. Like, just take like a clip from the fights and just be like, look at this shit. Let's try it out.
It's
you
cool
know?
as fuck.
Yeah, no, it was really nice because we have our own like series of attacks from there. But that's a nice one where you just they're doing weird stuff with his leg. Like, I think he was trying to step over the leg that we usually use to trap and hop on the back. Yeah. So he like used that step over to get underneath and trip the further leg, and it was just like, ooh, that was tricky. I didn't see that coming.
Ooh, and then actually you just reminded me, there was Johnson had a really nice step over as Almabaev was coming in, and he just stepped over, reversed the takedown. It was so beautiful, and it was one of those like long, lanky kind of moves.
And that's just like the
such
stuff,
fun things.
Yeah, that's the stuff where I'm like, okay, yeah, you can submit him if that happens. You know, if you get a nice reversal, you just catch him and mount, you're on top of him, like, go for it. Like, settle, stay big, like, take what's given to you, but don't try to force something off of your back. So I feel like, yeah, he was probably just summing up. In general, I feel like I'm out grappling him. I feel like there's an opening for a submission, but yeah, he just wasn't able to get or stay in those good positions long enough. And that's like a huge part of, you know, fighting someone who's small and is good at balling up and rolling and reversing things. Like, it's really hard to just flatten them out and keep them there. You know, it's almost easier to do it against someone who's bigger than you just because they have more stuff to mess with. Yeah. When someone's all tight and in a ball, it's just horrible. It's like I used to call Paulina Ballina, our little atomweight friend, because she would get so good. If you get her in a bad position, she just turtle everything up, and you couldn't
no
pull
side
anything
control.
away.
There's no like. There's just no space for things.
Yeah, you're just on top of that ball. Is that drill where you have the inflated ball and you're just like riding it and trying not to fall off of it. Yeah. So yeah, that's a huge part of grappling someone who's a lot tinier than you and more compact. You got to be able to still be able to flatten them out. And yeah, I forgot that happened. He was in some good positions, but Almabaev was just so good at just.
Yeah, he was just nonstop.
Yeah.
Whereas the how do you say his name? I'm so sorry.
I wrote
Nuerdanbieke.
It sounded like Wolverine.
Well, that was his nickname.
Oh,
yeah, that was his nickname. So
okay. I'm like,
Nuerdanbieke. He was doing all the right things. It's just he ended up kind of gassing himself out. If he had more of a gas tank, the Costa submission wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
But, you know, Costa was resilient, patient. I mean, he was doing good things. He wasn't getting, you know, beat every single place in the fight, but Nuerdanbieke was definitely winning up until the point where Costa got his back. He capitalized on that moment where he started fatiguing and didn't have the same power output, couldn't keep, you know, doing the same things that he was doing.
Yeah, that one could have been fight of night too, just because of all the back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why. I think because it was mostly a grappling match, maybe that's why they weren't as excited about it, but there was a lot of back and forth, and I was freaking out when Wolverine, Nuerdanbieke, he almost knee barred him.
Yeah,
like he had him in this long. His leg was so long and stretched out, and Thingy just looked so calm and collected that I'm like, okay, maybe it's not close, but it definitely looks close from my position.
I feel like there was some definite tension, but again, he did the right thing.
Yeah,
high level grappler. He did the right thing. He turned his foot, just like when you have, you know, an arm bar. You don't want thumbs up. You want to start turning it.
Right.
And just it alleviates enough torque to let you get out of the position, create a scramble, and then, get out.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. It was a good fight. And I like how they were talking about when he had the arm isolated. I think this is the same fight. He had the arm isolated, Costa did, and Nuerdanbieke just kind of curled himself back.
So I need to comment on that because it wasn't a tight Kimura. He locked, he went to the Kimura position, but he wasn't isolating the shoulder. He wasn't, chest to chest. He didn't have like a good bite on it.
It felt like his hips weren't in the right place too, in order to like really get off balance.
No, it wasn't. I didn't see him being in
just as
prime. No, I'm sorry.
You guys need to go back to jiu-jitsu class. I'm taking a stripe away for that comment.
No, I'm sorry. It wasn't close. That was never going to be the position. What he should have done was, used his hips to either bring him back over, like face plant to the mat, or bump him back so that he could have stood up or, sweep to mount. There's, I love a Kimura grip. I love that grip. You can, hold on to somebody and go anywhere as long as you have that grip. It's one of those ones that you just don't abandon.
Yeah.
But he didn't have the right bite on it. His body was not in prime position to capitalize on it. Sorry.
You heard
close.
It here.
It wasn't close.
Relax. It was nothing. I started getting into the habit where I'm like, it's deep. And then they get out and I'm like, oh. And then I'll go, I don't think they have that. And then they tap. It's mostly with rear nakeds though. Like usually when I see a rear naked, it's like either the person putting it on doesn't do the thing that I think they need to do in order to finish it, or the person is just really good at fighting the hands. Because a lot of times someone will put that rear naked on and they don't even try. Like they don't even reach for it and try to stop it from happening.
The threat is not happening.
Yeah, and then they get it. And then they get it. So it's kind of a funny one. It's like it's still one of the hardest submissions I think to get in MMA right now.
I agree.
Because everyone has.
It's easy to defend with the gloves.
It's easy to defend, but also everyone's seen it. Everyone's seen it a million times. It's not as sneaky. As soon as someone gets to your back, you're like, all right, I know what you're going to try to do. And then they try it. And some people are just real good at catching the neck at the right moment. And other people, they get stuck there all around. We even seen people lose rounds on someone's back hunting for submissions because they're getting punched in the face while they're doing it. So, yeah, it's one of those tough ones. But, yeah, a lot of times I'll catch myself being the bad commentator. Going, I don't think that's going to work. Oh, okay, never mind.
You got it.
Whoops. Yeah, it was cool. That's what that one fight was like, the one where the guy flopped down. I was like, it's probably not going to work again. And then tapped right over the chin.
Yeah.
That one sucks, by the way. That's a horrible one to have to tap to because it's like you don't want to, but also you don't want your jaw to break. If you go out before your jaw breaks, you might wake up with a broken jaw. Like, that would really suck.
It would suck to wake up to that for sure.
Ow, what happened? Well, like some other stuff happened last week. I went to PFL.
Yeah.
I got to see that firsthand again. And it was interesting. It was interesting. The fights were good. Our girl Jenna Bishop, she fought Talia Santos in a fight a lot of people counted her out in, and it was a really close fight. Like the first round was pretty one-sided. Then the second round, she started landing, started getting some momentum going. But it's like that one takedown happened in the second, and I feel like if that didn't happen, she could have won the fight. She went into the third round, was able to get on top in the end, threatened that submission. It was a good fight, and she was landing on her feet, too. So I felt like that was another one of those tough fights. It probably happened sooner than it should have. She was only 7-0 at the time, and then Talia has had a ton of experience, fought for the title, but a couple 5-round fights in the UFC. But at the same time, she showed up. She showed out. She was able to land on her. So I was really impressed with her. Yeah.
No, it was a good fight. It was a good learning experience. Those are, the fights that they suck. It sucks losing. However, I think there's a lot of good feedback and a lot of good takeaways and learning moments in those kind of fights. And Talia's no slouch. She's fought for the title. She, arguably beat Shevchenko.
Yo, people got a little testy when I did my little post, and I was like, "Yeah, this is a great fight." She went toe to toe with the people's 125-pound champ, and people are like, "Don't talk about Shevchenko that way."
Oh.
Like, this is supposed about Jenna, but
People,
what's wrong with you guys?
People will make it what they want to make it.
Yeah.
They'll be offended about whatever they want to be offended
Just
about.
let me
and they'll
big up my
vocalize it.
girl. Come on, just let me big her up. But yeah, Talia Santos, she's definitely one of the ones everyone's looking at to win the entire thing, unless you listen to the propaganda that the PFL is putting out. Then you'll think that the British girl is
Dakota.
Yes.
It's interesting because I haven't necessarily seen that kind of promotion on a big stage. It's normally like the local circuits, the a little bit, I don't want to say like lower level, but like the what's it called?
Regional.
Yeah. Thank you.
The hometown kid is going up against someone they brought in to lose, and they're like, "God, this guy's gonna win," and usually that happens that way.
So I'm still trying to understand the brackets, how the brackets are made. And somebody maybe said that because it's regular season, it's not the playoffs, that's how this sort of thing is happening. Is that true? I thought it was playoffs.
It's so four fights. The first two fights give you points, and then whoever has the most points after those first 2 rounds of fights gets to fight. The 4 people with the most points gets to fight in the tournament. Okay. So that's how they game it for whoever they want on top. So Dakota, she was able to fight the person that Jenna beat in the first round.
Yeah.
Jenna got 6 points off of that. Dakota beat Malden, I think. And she got 6 points off of that. And then Talia beat the girl that Jenna beat in Bellator. I forget her name. But they all got 6 points. I think Liz won her fight, so she got 3 points, I believe, or 4 points. And, if you get a finish in the first round, you get the most points. So instead of making them all fight the people who lost in the first round or making them all fight people who won in the first round, they let one person fight someone who lost. That's the girl that they're setting up to win.
Yeah.
They made Jenna fight Talia Santos, who was the other person who got the first round finish, which should have been on the main card, too, if you're going to make that happen right now. And then they had Liz fight another girl that she fought before, but who also won. So it was very stacked for Dakota, who is the only person who had to fight someone coming off of a loss.
Yeah, that
a first round loss.
That just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Like in any world that you would have, you want the best of the best to showcase and ultimately, meet at this, climactic point. You want to show like this impressive body of work to get to where you want them to be. And yet you're having this person fight people who have lost. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't make sense to me. It just shows clear bias to me.
Yeah, it does. But at the same time, they're catering to these people who just want to see a knockout. People don't want to see a highly contested fight. They don't want to see a back and forth match. They want to see someone get brutally knocked out. And when they keep serving up these inexperienced girls or these girls who have already lost to the Dakota chick, then they're building that hype train. Mm-hmm. And they don't care that the people paying attention are annoyed by it. They're only caring about getting either new people in the seat or pushing this girl up into the point where she actually does have to perform against the highest people.
See, to me, that kind of buildup is a bit, I don't want to say dangerous, mm-hmm. but a bit irresponsible, mm-hmm. because you're hyping somebody up, you're building somebody up to this point where they may not be able to deliver, and they could actually get hurt because they don't have that kind of battle-tested fight experience. Mm-hmm. And I get it. She's a professional. She has, she has a lot of wins, and she has the, striking kickboxing experience outside of MMA. I understand that. I'm not saying she can't handle herself, but it's just, it's I feel like it's a bit unfair to do that to someone and to put them up into a position where, you know, they could potentially not do well.
Yeah.
Or have the skills to compete at that level.
Yeah. But at the same time, we were talking about earlier how it can be detrimental to be on the opposite side of that hype train too. You're fighting someone who has a ton of hype. They have all the promotional push. It can make the chip on your shoulder bigger, and it can get in the way of performing to the best of your ability. So that's going to be a big challenge for Jenna, because that's who she's fighting next. And it's like, that would have been the fight I would have made in the second round anyway.
Yeah.
I feel like high level grappler versus high level striker who are still getting their feet wet with the other parts of MMA. I felt like that would have been more of a fair matchup for the second round. But now it's gonna happen. So it's like, all right, the first part of the tournament, which wasn't the tournament, was weird, and you're obviously setting someone up to perform. But now it's kind of like, okay, I guess that doesn't matter, because now they're going to fight. Santos and Liz are going to fight on the other side, and the winners of those two fight are going to fight each other. So, yeah, it'll be a good test for both of them, this matchup coming up. If Jenna can get her down, I think it's pretty cut and clear what's going to happen. If she can't, you know, she is a good striker. Like,
she's great at keeping range.
She's a sniper. She's really strong on the feet, and she knows what she's doing. Like, she's picking her shots. She's like setting traps. She's doing a good job of like just being a really devastating striker. But at the same time, she hasn't fought someone with the experience who can grit through getting a hard shot to the body, who can eat a knee and still get a huge double leg takedown off of that knee that you threw, you know? So there's going to be a lot of just seeing where both girls are at in this one. And I think on the other side with Santos and Liz, it really just matters who shows up, because Liz had like a really gutsy performance where she would come out strong and just fucking lose it halfway through the round.
Yeah.
And she was on her way to losing that fight against Watanabe, and got that armbar in the last 10 seconds.
Man, it was really impressive. Wanabe.
What is that? Well, I got to look it up. I think it's but Kana.
She made
Watanabe.
She made Liz look human, and I know how superhuman strong Liz is,
because she Watanabe the champion.
Yes, she does. She Watanabe on top.
Oh, sorry, good.
I lost all track of thought.
I was like, yes, Watanabe.
I feel like there was a different emphasis when Watanabe.
That might be it. Watanabe. Look at her Wikipedia.
She Watanabe.
No, they don't have the phonetic on here.
It's fine.
Yeah. I'm going to call her Watanabe, because she Watanabe champion of PFL. She Watanabe a millionaire.
Good one.
Yeah. But yeah, what is she? What was she doing?
I thought it was really impressive that she made Liz look human, because normally to me, Liz looks superhuman. She has super strength. She's so powerful and imposing. And I thought that it just spoke to the level of this tournament. So it really does make me excited to see, you know, who ends up in the finals and facing each other.
Well, Velasquez kind of did that too. But Liz ended up getting the win over her too. But she was another one where there were a lot of moments where I'm like, ooh, Liz might lose this. And then she would like pop back on top or do something to reverse it again. But yeah, I think there's going to have to be a lot of sharing up with technique with Talia Santos, because one thing she proves is that she knows how to win a fight. Like, she knows how to do what she needs to do, stay out of harm's way. Like that takedown in the first round against Jenna, she was able to stay really safe on top. She didn't like expose anything. She just chilled in guard and like drained out the clock.
And that is a dangerous guard to be in.
It sucks.
And she was not flinching about it.
No.
She took her time. She had great position with her arms, with her hips. Everything was just very on point. It was very impressive.
And it's a little less dangerous when you can't throw elbows, because I think that's like one of the things that would probably change a lot of PFL fights if you were able to throw elbows, especially in a position like that where someone is stuck. Like you get on top of them, you're stuck. You can't throw elbows. Jenna got on mount with her. She was stuck. She can't throw elbows. Like it really can change the momentum of a fight, getting a big cut like that, being able to slice someone open. But, you know, you can only get so much power on the punches, especially from guard. And, I think if anything, she just did a good job of doing what she needed to do to win the round, as opposed to like really put herself in danger and take an unnecessary risk. And I think that's going to be huge when she fights Liz, because Liz is all about taking advantage of your mistakes, and Santos doesn't really make that many. It's going to be interesting.
Very exciting.
Very interesting. Still mad at the matchmaking, but I'll be watching. I guess I'll be watching. There's a crazy almost a double KO that happened at the
I
PFL
couldn't believe that.
Dude.
Nut shot knockout.
Oh my God. It was a knockout that happened as someone was getting nut shot. So who was it again? Tim something.
2 heavyweights.
Tim Johnson. Yeah, Johnson was fighting the Brazilian, and Thingy threw a kick right up the middle, and Johnson threw an overhand at the same time, and both connected.
And both went down.
Both went down, too.
Like a sack of potatoes.
It was funny because I was just taking a photo to show like Brian, our manager, where our seats were.
Marquez and, go back. Marquez and Johnson.
Yeah, I was taking a photo to show where our seats was. I'm like, yeah, he has a pretty good seats. And I hit click, and the live photo captured that moment.
Beautiful.
Of the, it was perfect. I want to like get what do you call it? Like what are those stupid digital art things that you can do that are total waste of money? What are those things called?
Not a GIF.
It's the crypto thing.
Yeah.
Or some shit.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I wanted to like make that one of those and sell it.
And
As a work of art.
And something. I don't know.
NFT.
Yes. We got there.
I thought you were saying and I'm like NFT. Yes, yeah. I want to make an NFT of that. We can sell it on the Two Straw store. Yeah, but it was a pretty exciting fight card. But I always think about all the fighters that are just so pissed off with the PFL right now. Like, people are leaving, people are getting re-signed for less money than their original contracts. Like, there's a lot of I don't want to say hopelessness, but a lot of people waiting to fight right now who thought they would have fought already this year.
Well, if you look at, the UFC and their roster, which is huge, they don't have enough fights, and they fight literally pretty much every weekend except for maybe like 5 weekends in a year. And you look at the roster versus the number of events, if they don't even have enough space for those, and you look at PFL and they just took on a whole nother roster in the Bellator fighters, it's hard. I don't know. And no disrespect, but I feel like they had this grand idea, but not necessarily how they were going to execute it. Yeah. And so I think they're figuring things out as they go along, and they're not necessarily sharing it with the public. I'd love to.
You have that Don Davis guy going, slaps hit a car. You see this beaut? It's going to put every fighter in Bellator to work 3 times a year. And everyone's like, all right, sure
it is.
Sure, but
just tell me how. Can you explain it?
Can you just sign everyone's fight contracts so they can get to work? Yeah, so that's rough, but hopefully they figure it out. First year obviously is going to be rough for most people dealing with the merger and dealing with like weird contracts and stuff. But hopefully they figure out, because the UFC needs competition. We need someone to agitate to make it so that there isn't just one show in the world. You don't want a monopoly. You want someone who is trying to get better every year so that they attract the best athletes over and over again, and they also make it better for the athletes who are in the organization. So
I get a little bit frustrated when people come out and say like, "Oh, I'm going to be bigger and better than the UFC." Listen, they have their spot. I think there's enough room for everyone, though. I think there's enough room for other organizations to do their own thing and do it really well. And what I do like about PFL is they're trying something new and different. They're trying to, make their own league. They're trying to relay it more to the NFL or Major League Baseball, or, just making it different.
Yeah.
Which I can appreciate and respect, that they're not going, head to head with the UFC and trying to say like, oh, we're better, but we're just our own entity and we're different. And I think I like that a little bit more. It makes me more willing and enticing to go view it.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of what do you call it? Speaking of guys not competing with the UFC, but being around, Invicta is back finally
on CBS Sports.
On CBS Sports. Now, this is awesome. That's the promotion that I got my feet wet in after I got cut from the UFC. I started in the UFC like a dummy, and then got cut and went to Invicta and won the belt. Jessica also won the belt in Invicta at atomweight. And first ever atomweight champ. So yeah, that place holds a special place in our hearts. And when they hadn't put on any shows in a while, I was a little worried, especially because our girls team, like a lot of those girls were in need of fights. I was kind of keeping my eye on Invicta, but also noticing that they hadn't put on anything in a while. And I could kind of tell that they were selling themselves to someone because of all the posts. Like their social media was being very active, posting a lot of finishes, things to get people excited about Invicta. So yeah, I'm excited for them. I'm excited to see what this new network is going to do for them. Hopefully allow them to put on more fights, to put on more fight cards. And it's definitely a good proving ground for females, because Invicta attracts good fighters. You can't really go in there with one skill set and destroy everyone. Like, they have a lot of fair matchmaking with that promotion, and I think anyone who gets that experience is going to come into the UFC or whatever show they end up doing on a bigger scale and really have the capacity to do well and not get like scared by the bright lights.
I think it's a great proving ground for women. Probably arguably the best. What I love about Invicta and what made me so excited when I met the previous owners and met with Shannon before everything came into fruition, was I had been fighting on these lower regional shows and felt like I was, I don't know, not really
taken seriously.
Yes.
Hey, and then
no, exactly. We were kind of like
a
we were kind of a novelty, you put one women's fight on a card and then, you call it a day, and, it gives people just something different to look at and
fight
yell
to
at.
go to the bathroom during, or
sure,
to yell, kick her in the dick.
Exactly. And so when Invicta came around and they just, they had this great mission statement and this great platform for women, and what they did with it, I thought was so impressive. And it was exactly what women in the sport needed, what we deserved. And I love that Invicta and Shannon Knapp are just continuing to build and grow the women's divisions in MMA. I think it's a wonderful organization. I'm happy to see that they have staying power.
Yeah, it's like a lot of people talk about what Cage Warriors did for like the British scene or the UK scene and the Europe scene and stuff. And I didn't really know, because Cage Warriors, wasn't over here.
Mm-hmm.
But I always felt that same way about Invicta. Like, they did so much for the WMMA scene, legitimized it, made it so you guys aren't fighting in random weight classes, fighting in bars. Like, it made it an actual sport, like a thing to look up to. And I remember applying for Tough and thinking, well, they got all these girls in Invicta, there's no way that I'm gonna get in. But it kind of made WMMA feel bigger than what it was at the time, and that created like a domino effect where it actually became bigger because of the existence of Invicta.
And I think it was also the belief that this organization had in the sport, whereas before people had tried. My first fight was with Hook and Shoot run by Jeff Osborne, who had a big belief in women's MMA and did his best to put us on, a grander stage and showcase us. I don't think the general public was ready for it.
Yeah.
And then we had Fatal Femmes, which I fought for them, their first show. And I fought, again for them a couple times, but I just don't, it either wasn't the time, or I don't think the people just had the right energy about it. It just wasn't sustainable. I think they went about it not necessarily the right way. And I think Invicta really did it right. And it's given us, an amazing place to grow and just become the best fighters we can be. I love it. I'm so excited for them.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait to see the next show. It's going to be competing with International Fight Week. It's not on the same day, I don't
No
think.
way.
But June 28th is their next show. When is 303? I forget.
July, no?
No, it's coming up.
Is it?
It's
What
like
month are
2
we in?
weeks. What day is it? 303 is on the 29th.
June 29th.
So yeah, it's a prelim.
It's almost July.
It's a prelim. It's Invicta is on June 28th, and then UFC 303 is on June 29th. So I'll be watching to wet my whistle for 303, which doesn't have Conor on it. So hopefully it'll be a lot more fun to watch without all the Conor lookalikes in the crowd and stuff. Man,
no leprechauns.
Dude, it must be so hard if you're like a Conor cosplayer and you had your whole year planned around this event. And now, what are you going to do? You can't show up dressed like Conor now. He's not
Do you
even
think
gonna
they're
be
still
there.
going to show up, or do you think they wanted a refund? I
don't
wonder
know.
how many refunds happened.
Well, you can't get a refund on that suit. They probably got the tattoo like actually on their body.
Dang it.
They probably fully committed to the Conor cosplay. And now it's all for nothing. There'll
It's
be a
always
rematch.
Halloween.
I know. They should do a Conor Con.
I think it would fill up.
Conor Con. It would just be a con. It'd just be another thing that he doesn't show up to.
Tricky leprechauns always playing jokes on people.
Always after me, pots of gold and stuff. Yeah. Well, I think that's all we got for today. Jess is going to have to pay me for losing our bet next week. But if you have any bright ideas, let us know in the comments. Make sure you join our members page. You'll get badges, which we are working on. The badges are on the way, the custom ones, but right now you'll get the regular member badges. You get exclusive content. You get early access to videos like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then hopefully we'll have some fight news soon, and you can get all that stuff, fight camp updates and all that good stuff only for members, because we can't be letting everyone know our secret techniques like Tyra. Secret. Only we do it. Secret pole dancing techniques. All right, so this has been another Two Straws.
I'll see you next time. Bye.